Good evening, friends. Today we are going to talk about the potential applications of sexed semen for dairy cattle improvement in Indian scenario is concerned, because this is one of the technology that is already reached out, and we will see what are all the pros and consequences of this particular technology, then the benefit to the farmers and the limitations, and all these things we will try to discuss in this particular chapter is concerned. The share of Indian milk in the by the crossbred in the total milk of the cows has been it is increasing from 17% during 1991 to 38.3% in 2021-22, means there is a significant increase in the total milk yield. So the share of this cow milk in the total milk yield is up to 33.5%, and it has increased to 61.2% as per the Government of India data 2022. So because of all these efforts, India stands today number one in the world in the milk production, and this is consistent through last 10 years. We are maintaining the number one position since many years without any what you call as the problem or without any problem, and we are maintaining the status of the number one since so many years. There is always gradual increase, even though there are minor what you call as downfalls. It is always increasing. So the number of milk yielding cattle is increased from 102.98 million in 1992. Then it is 145.12 million, almost one and a half time in the year 2017, while the population of the male cattle declined from 101.59 million to 47.4 million as per the Government of India data. That's the total data, and you always know that India ranks in the global milk yield. Consistent increase from after independence, then suddenly during this 1970s and other thing, because of the Operation White Flood, it has increased to 209 in million tons, especially the milk production, and it has been drastically increased during last 10 years. So we are in the farmers always desire to have more females to meet the rising demand of the milk, then expand their herd size and improve the profitability, and to have the livelihood in their, particularly in their profession or the agriculture. That is the main thing. Then breeding is one of the ways to attain the particular goal. A proper breeding method, artificial insemination technologies have been contributed a great to the production of Indian milk. These are three. Number one, artificial insemination is the number one. It is a technology evolved in 1970s, and later followed by embryo transfer. One of the in vitro fertilization technologies are also there. Then now it is the era of sexed semen. Now we are going to think, especially focus on this particular thing is concerned, and we'll see what are all the contributions of this technology is concerned. Then, especially the sexed semen is the semen that has been separated to contain sperm that will most likely to produce a male or female offspring. That means to say that 90% and above, it has to produce the female offsprings. So, sexed semen facilitate faster, more profitable dairy herd expansion by increasing the number of the what you call as the female population, and the you can see that this can be achieved through the conventional semen. There is about 51% of the what you call as the percent of the male cows are there, and of course it is somehow less. Whereas for many years, the humankind lost. It has tried to develop methods to select the sex of the females only, but The production of the desired sex offspring has been a dream of livestock producers. Always they were telling that if my cow gives a female calf, that will be always better. But it has not been a dream. But now it has come to some of the success, and we can find that now because of the uh, sex semen and in vitro fertilization technologies, we can achieve this particular this thing. And more female cows from allied females during her productive lifetime, more male cows from the allied bulls can be achieved if the sex of the offspring is predetermined or pre-selected. So that's the aim of sex semen technology. So sex pre-selection can be achieved through number one, sexing of the spermatozoa, number two, combination of superovulation and insemination with sex semen, so that the embryo what we produce is of the desired sex, and embryo sexing and also transplantation. So both can be achieved. So these are all some of the techniques which are under the emergence. So coming to the benefits of sex semen technology, number one, we will get a desired sex. The embryo will be of desired sex. Then increased heifer supply. Lot of heifers we require for the young livestock is always required, and also we need the herd expansion and replacement of the cows with the young heifers, and reduces cases of the dystocia because of the oversized fetus, and also get the genetic gain, genetic improvement, more and more breed purity, etc. And later, biosecurity of the herds is also very much essential, and the benefits of the sexed semen. That's what we say. And how we stand here in the sexed semen technology is India being the developing country, limited number of high producing cows we have, limited availability of the allied bulls because it's impossible to supply the semen straws throughout the country because the country has very limited allied cattle and buffalo bulls, which is less than 0.01% of the total cattle population, and large number of unproductive animals, which is a very big menace to us. And apart from this one, shortage of feed and fodder, and is also another criteria for which the development of animal husbandry is being hindered, and ban on slaughter in some of the states like Karnataka, etc. So it has caused the demand for more and more female animals because the male animals, especially in case of the crossbred animals, they are not at all useful. So these are the areas where this sex semen centers have been established by NDDB. Then forecast the consumption rate, especially as per the study, etc., it is significantly lower compared to that of the normal semen. So uh, there are a lot of reports, and once again, these reports vary from one to another. Some say 20 to the 40%, and some say 20 to 35%, whereas it is somehow consistent in the normal semen 50%. The consumption rate from sex semen is 25 to 51%. Once again, there is a big range is there, whereas it is 32 to 62% in case of conventional or routine AI technique what we have developed. So in the case of heifers, the consumption rate, especially with the sex semen, is average 44.35%, or it is ranging from 32 to 56% for sex sorted semen, and 59.0%, or it is ranging from 42 to 70% for conventional semen. So it is advised to use sex semen in heifers than that of the cows, as many workers have studied the effect of these particular things. And what is the profitability of the sexed semen? We need to study a lot, and hence the sexed semen technology, how we can adopt and how we can take it further. And it has been commercially available to producers, and it has been used increased in the recent years, especially in the worldwide scenario is concerned, and in India also it has introduced. It has been higher cost compared to the normal AI. Of course, the reproductive conception rate and sex ratio is also somehow less, and economically not so viable at this structure. So this need to be considered. And economic assessment of sexed semen technology is quite complex due to the interaction between the technical or conception rate, market value, and also the outcome. Because we will get a very good desired genetically potential curve, and hence we need to invest more and more. So this is a data of the conception rate in the sexed semen and normal AI. So he first the conception rate in using sexed semen technology is a little high, and you can here so you can see this is this line, or the line below blue line is with the sexual semen, and especially this is the conception percent to the left, and the heapers with the conventional AIs. So always it is more. Sometimes we can say that the summary of the conception rate achieved in various trials during the sexual semen and AI heifers. Always it say this chart will say that the heifers do have more conception rate when compared to the other animals. The further data also says, whereas this study says that conception rate of sexed semen is somehow less to that of the normal AI. And another thing here you can also see in case of conventional semen AI, the change of having male and female animal, especially the ratio will be about 50%, whereas in case of sexed semen, the AI, the sex ratio is as high as 90%, but it cannot be 100%. That's why many times we need to convince the farmers that even after the sexed semen AI also, there is chance of 10% of getting the male calves. That need to be kept in mind always before this thing, especially. So the service number, the conventional storage, it's always more. It is as high as 45% and starting from 20%, whereas the sex semen it is less, starting from it is this one 20% to 35%. That's what we say. Then here also this graph indicates that the normal AI and sex semen, the male cows born will be 50% in normal AI, whereas the female it is 49, or almost it is equivalent to 50-50. Whereas sexed semen it is male 13% and female 87. And CIDEL in the year 2014 they have conducted this trial, and this is a data what it see it is given by them. And coming to the consumption rates and economic values of the sexed semen, there are a lot of what you call as debates are there, and economic values from sexed semen program have been in relation with that of the consumption rate always. Then with the lower consumption rate, of course, it is very 34% of normal ALI, only one service in e-first is recommended, while for the high or 83% of the normal AI, as the returns are positive for all five services. So that's the rate comparison and some of the data suggested by Cabrera 2009. And profit for heifer is reported to have been increased. This sentence is very important. Profit for heifer is reported to have increased by US dollar uh, 91 for RCR, that's called as the relative conceptional rate conception of, or it is 0.80 by US dollar, that's the 73 for RCR 0.75, and by US 57 for RCR of 0.07. So this is a study conducted by Bolston et al. In the year 2014. And apart from this one, the improvement in the herd productive performance from medium in the consumption rate to high level increases income threefold. So this is a statistic which says that adopting the sex semen technology, even though it is costly, but long term it has got the benefits. So what is the scenario in India? This is very important for us because India being the number one country for all the cattle and the milk, etc., we need production of unwanted males that can be minimized because there are a lot of male cows are born, especially the Jersey, HF, and many more, including the buffaloes. They are not useful for our situation, and the poor draught capacity of the crossbred males, they cannot pull the carts, etc., and the farmers are not used to it, and tendency of the farmers to starve male cows, and they will make it to die, and many times they give it to the slaughter, and it can facilitate production of required number of the daughters for progeny testing programs in shortest parent, thus increased genetic in the gain. So if you produce only female cows, what happens is the fastest development of genetic trait will happen, and the production and contribution to the livestock sector will increase. So, relevance of sex semen in India's dairy sector. So, livestock produces or lot of income to the farmers, and it reduces the poverty and enhances the nutritional and security of Indian people. India owns world's largest cattle livestock population, but because of the individual low productivity, poor quality, then fodder insecurity or lack of the fodder and raising unproductive animal, these are numbering concerns, and lot of studies are being taken up. And coming to the demand for sex pre-selection, where is more urgent is we can see here indigenous and buffaloes and crossbreeds. All these three we need to increase in the number, especially the male numbers need to be reduced and female number need to be increased. So, in the indigenous breeds, there are demand for more both male and female, because the males can be used for draught, whereas the females can also produce some part of the milk. Whereas the buffaloes also, the males and females, especially the males can be used for the draught and meat purpose, whereas the females can be used for the milk purpose. Whereas the crossbred cattle, the only females can be used for increasing the milk purpose, but the males are totally here, they are useless. So, because of this thing, contribution of the milk, 73% of the total milk production in the country is by buffaloes and also from indigenous cattle, and 24% of the milk production in the country is by the uh, crossbred cattle, and it is increasing every day because of the technological increase that we need to understand. Then here is a skewing sex ratio, how it is going to be benefit to Indian dairy. So sex semen with 80% towards 80. If you take 80 also, then what happens is, then it increases the Indian female cows to the extent of 15.5 million. Then two, we increased 19.4 million crossbred females in milk and dry. Then 3.9 million male cows will be born. Then if we only use this sexed semen, this will greatly increase. Unsexed semen from crossbred males or purebred exotic males also produce 9.7 million female cows and 9.7 male cows, because these male cows are not at all useful to any of the purpose, especially in the Indian scenario, which is the crossbreds. Whereas the female cows, they are expected to produce 17.4 metric tons of the milk per year after 3 to 4 years when they attain the maturity. Whereas the female cows from the sexed semen expected to produce 27.9 metric ton of the year, especially after 2 3 years. So, if you summarize everything, then it is easily noted that additional, especially the addition of 10.5 million tons of the milk without much management intervention can be done if you use the sexed semen. And uh, the assumptions are also there here: mortality 10%, milk production 2000 per kg per year, etc. So, this is one of the criteria to select the sexed semen straws of with the sexed semen. Then methods of, so, what are all the methods of sex selection means? The sex sorting of the spermatozoa AI with sexual spermatozoa, then production of offspring of the desired sex will be produced, or else we can also go for in vitro fertilization with sexual spermatozoa. So both of these with sexing up of the embryo or during the embryo transfer produce offsprings of the desired sex. So we need to check this thing. And embryo sexing can also be done. Nowadays it is being done because it need to be cytogenetic analysis, immunological assays, and Y specific DNA probes need to be required to check whether it's a XX or XY. And difference in the metabolic activities and cleavage rates accuracy will be 66 to 100%, and conception rate also 32 to 45%. Whereas this embryo sexing requires, instead of the sperm sexing, embryos require well-trained manpower and very sophisticated facilities, and also lot of hormonal manipulations. Because of this thing, it becomes very costly, and it may also cause possible damage to the embryo during biopsy, and reduced conception rate with cryopreserved embryos that are additional limiting factors in this particular scenario is concerned. Hence, we need to go for the sex sorted semen. So that's why we are thinking whether we have to go for only X and produce only female cows. That's also another possibility. So apart from this one, now only on invitation we will have the female cows. The scientists are thinking that we need to produce only X chromosomes sperms so that the conception will always make a female cow. So sperm sexing methods and successes are there, and there are various methods are there. Albumin gradient or gradient swim down methods, and the reported success rates are around 75%. And Percol density gradient method 86 to 98%. Then swim up procedures around 80%. Identification of HY antigen around 90%, and sperm sorting based volumetric differences is around 80%. And centrifugal counter current distribution, it produces a success rate of around 80%, whereas the flow cytometry is producing the highest what you call as sexing rate, and it is one of the technology currently used. And of course, a mixture of all this technology may also be beneficial in future also. Hence, the methods of sexing gradient down procedures. So here we have so many procedures have been reported here, but ultimately this is the principle: gradient swim down procedure. Y sperm has greater downward swimming velocity. Surface antigenic differences. HY antigen is a marker. Then free flow electrophoresis, presence of electric charge on the surface of some of the sperms especially. So according to this laser detector will make the sperm to flow in different directions, either X or Y. So this is the flow chart how the presently how the XX and XY are separated, because here there is a what you call as the flow cytometric methods are there. Then here the laser beam is used for charging different what you call as the molecules, and according to their charge, either negative or positive charge, the Y and X chromosomes and move to different directions. The dead sperms and abnormal sperms, they will directly fall or down. So this is the diagrammatic representation how a sex's semen or the sperm is being detected in such a way that the XX or the chromosomes are being produced, because usually the DNA matter in male spermatozoa is 4% higher. Hence, it is made to flow the mixture of the XX and XY, or the semen is made to flow with a fluorescent dye. Then it is subjected to the laser beam. Then there will be a charging up of the droplets, especially color. Later, with using the computer assisted magnetic field, the X and why sperms are separated, dead sperms are being discarded. So, volumetric difference between the sperm head volume may also be used as one of the method, and also centrifugal counter current distribution, chromatography procedure aided with centrifugation is used. So, apart from this one, certain genetic approaches, transgenic method, that's where T loci on Y chromosomes may also be used. Whereas the flow cytometric technique, this technique or the flow cytometric technique, especially is one of the important technique presently used in case of the present uh, what you call as the sex semen technology. Then how it is began. Number one, 1988 sex sorting technology was made by USDA, Livermore, California, and Beltsville, Maryland. Then 1990, the patents for this technology were licensed to XY Inc. And 1997, first cow to be born using the sex semen and artificial insemination was done. Then 2003, commercially, this technique was available with some commercial companies. And limousine has been become the first beef breed in the world to take advantage of sex semen, though which is elected, especially in the particular photo. So this is done in 1997, and now it is the year of 2024, and much more progress has been done. And status of use of sex semen in India, of course, imported sex semen is used in few states like Punjab, Haryana, and NDDB, etc. The cost per semester is and was 1,200 per star, and state was giving the subsidy of 50%. Farmer used to pay 6,600 per star, whereas the reported consumption rate by Punjab Municipality Department was 42%. And research and development activities on sexing of semen is started very recently. And of course, the Punjab is the first state which has introduced the especially the sex semen technology, and that's how and nowadays everywhere it is being started. Are we prepared for sexing semen of the crossbreed and indigenous cattle? Yes, of course. The flow cytometry based sex sorting uses the differentiation of DNA content between X and Y spermatozoa, because the X spermatozoa has got 4% more DNA material, and we do not have authenticated data on differences in the DNA content of spermatozoa regarding crossbred and several indigenous cattle. Hence, we need to study. So, of course, as of now, we do not know how many spermatozoa crossbred and few indigenous bulls will behave during sorting and during cryopreservation. After sorting, it may also follow the same thing to that of the Jersey and HF cattle, and now already the study is being conducted and many are being marketed. So, are we prepared for using sex semen field condition? Already we say yes. Already this has come into our situation, but not in the very large scale. The consumption rate with the sex semen in the literature are mainly based on the heifer supposed to be free from infection and acquired disorders. In case the consumption rate is expected to be very low. With 20 million spermatozoa in a dose or 2 crores, means 1 million means, yes, especially the average CR in our country is 35. With reduced dose, it is expected to still go down. So this mostly fixed time AI practiced while sex semen is used, it will add further cost to the farmers. Of course, that need to be used. In our country, lay inseminators for AI and deep corneal insemination may be a difficult process for them, in which it is indicated that deep corneal insemination deep into the uterus, it need to be inseminated. But many of them cannot pass the gun through the cervix itself, hence it may be a difficult process to them. So, initiates use of sorting semen using the semen pasture, Pushbim Banga, especially Go Sampat Viksha Sanstha, that's Harlingata in West Bengal, initiated installed during 2009. First male calf was named was Shreya, was born on 1st January 2011 using sex semen. And imported sex semen is now available to farmers in certain states with Punjab in the forefront. Of course, now many of the companies are also being selling the sex semen starting from the cost of 1000 to 5000, maybe 1000, 1500, different breeds, etc. They are cost different. So the Punjab farmers are being charged so rupees 6,000 per straw with state subsidy, etc. But now it has percolated to different states of the India also. Whereas this West Bengal in India, it has started the especially sexing of semen using very high pedigreed cell sorter, especially, and capacity sorting is also very high, and especially the the story of West Bengal is encouraging, and it is producing viable and female calves by sorted sex sperm. Of course, uh, they are also successful by the technology which they have developed. Then, apart from this one, the quality control of the sorted semen, the comprise quality control of the is frozen semen compared to unsorted was also reported. So then it is they are having a lot of especially difference. This PTM was it is 33.7% in sorted frozen semen, whereas unsorted frozen semen it was high. And hosting, especially after in the semen processing technology, it is in the sex sorted semen, it was 21% six, whereas it was high in case of unsorted frozen semen. And impact of the intact acrosome was more, especially in case of unsorted, and it was less in case of the sex sorted semen, as per the Biswas et al. With the communication of ICR. So, validation of sorted spermatozoa is also done, and it has yielded the X semen and Y semen, and the lower purity of Y sorted semen may be due to less DNA content compared to the X. So that's why it is said that X is containing more, X spermatozoa containing 4% more DNA content. So poor orientation between X and Y sperm, especially in case of Bos indicus cattle, is also reported by Gardner et al. In the 1983. And artificial insemination by unsubsidized sex semen gives different fertility rates. Overall, for improvement in the semen quality, sorting procedure and cryopreservation method can significantly improve the sex semen technology at especially in the field, especially in the field procedures are concerned. So this need to be taken in the care. So now the flow cytometry is the one of the method, or count the cellular DNA within a group of cells. So, semen can be separated according to their DNA content. Accurate measurement of the difference in the DNA content between X and Y chromosomes bearing gametes, and separates gametes very specifically, and takes advantage of female sperm having 3.8% or approximately 4% of the DNA. This is the advantage of flow cytometry compared to the other methods. Then, how it is done in a specific manner is sperms or the semen will be treated with a fluorescent dye that allows differentiation of amount of DNA in the sperm. Then, sperms are then diluted with, placed in droplets. Later, they become droplets. The droplets enter the detector where a laser is used to energize that particular dye. Then the machine identifies the sperm as X and Y, and it puts a charge on that particular sperm drop and sorts it in a specific manner. This is the way how it goes. Both female X and male Y chromosomes bearing sperms are identical in size, shape, and weight of electrical charge and swimming. There is no difference between any of these things. But when you put them in the flow cytometry, then the difference will be found after staining. Especially the difference is in the size of their DNA content, and that of the female is about 4% larger than of the boys. This is little larger when compared to the female. Female is more larger, and always it is we can see that the female spermatozoa do have larger DNA content. Then an electric field deflects the sperm towards the collection vessel. The sperm hit the fluid in the collection vessel. Three containers: X sperm, like Y sperm, and unsexable plus dead sperms. All these are being put at about 550 kph or 30 miles per hour. So the sexed or sorted semen are then centrifuged and resuspended. So this is a tedious process, of course, not an easy technology as we explained theoretically. Then here you can see that the fluorescence detectors. So here we are going to put the especially the stained semen stoss, and the X and Y sperms pass through this particular this tube. Then it is subjected to a laser beam which detects and separate the female and male simultaneously based on the DNA content, and unwanted sperms are removed without any killing. So that's also the very simplest technology here. So after passing through the laser beam, so a magnetic field is applied in such a way that the X and Y sperms will move in the different direction as per their charge. This is the especially the flow mechanism, how it is separated as a principle. So here we can see the total flow cytometric method. The sample or the semen sample is put in a especially a sheath with nozzle and hydrodynamic focusing system, and later a staining material will be put. Then a fluorescent dye is also put, and light source is passed in such a way that it's scarlet light, it passes through this particular tube. Then it generates the droplets with the droplets, semen droplets with the X, this charged particles, especially the X and Y chromosomes. So usually when it's subjected to a magnetic field after laser therapy, then the X, Y sorted cells, especially both X and Y, and the dead or waste cells will be generated or accumulated in a separate bin so that they can be discarded. And both of these unwanted sperms of Y may also be discarded. This is the flow cytometric method in simple. So here you can see that the separated streams of the female and male sperms are deflected in opposite direction and are collected in separate tubes here, and defective and unidentified sperms are discarded like this thing, and they will flow in a straight direction. That's the simple technology of the flow cytometry. And here the laser beam is subjected, you can see, then it is fast in such a way that the magnetic field is applied, X and Y chromosomes are separated. Then the different algorithms combined with machine learning through automation accurately it will say produce the X sorted semen with high gender purity and fertility. So this required a sophisticated lab with the algorithms, develop different development algorithms. Then here, once again, this is the same, a little bit more exhaustive. The sample need to be put here. The sheath fluid need to be put by separate entity. Then drop charging signal is passed here. Then a vibration transducer is put, especially in neck. Then this is the flow chamber. Then fluorescence detectors are also put with a filter. Then beam filters, etc. Later, the laser light is focused through the focusing lens. Then this obscuration bar is there. Then collecting lens for forward scatter light and light detector. These are all the things, especially computer monitor, and positively charged plates are put one side, negatively charged plates are put another side, and there are three collectors are there. One is left collector, then the right collector, and the waste collector. So the negatively charged will be collected in the right, and positively charged will be collected in the left. So this is the flow cytometric method, how it goes. And drawbacks of the flow cytometry are due to the flat shape of the bull sperm heads, about 60 to 70% are correctly oriented, and half of these are females. So approximately half of the sperm cannot be sorted because they are damaged, and that's why the dead container is also there. A machine could not determine sometimes the X or Y. 50% of the ejaculate is many times it is discarded. So apart from this one, 50% of the sperm going into the machine are removed as viable as sex semen, and it's a very slow process and low yield and very high cost. So separately trained technicians are required for this particular technology is concerned, and the sorting efficiency is also different. So suppose if you put a input rate of 40,000 per 1 second, so sorting takes place in such a way that the sorting rate is 8,000 x per second, then 8,000 y per second. So totally 16,000, and remaining 24,000 are discarded as waste. So usually a high quantity of the sperms are discarded, and using flow cytometry, 14 straws each of XY per hour per instrument may be produced, and 336 straws or 2 million each of X straw can be produced from a machine if it runs continuously for 24 hours. So this requires a lot of electricity, different materials and other things. That's why the 40% of total input sperms are sorted into X and Y bearing, while 60% is wasted. Means less than 50% is available as viable sperms as sorted, whereas the 60% is wasted. So this cannot be sorted at all by this present flow cytometry technology. And of course, in future, some good technology may also be developed. So, what is the rate of the crop from a single ejaculate, normal versus sex semen? Then we need to say, suppose we collect one ejaculate as 6 ml and 1000 million motile sperm per ml total ejaculate. Then in the conventional, we can prepare 300 frozen semen doses and inseminate 300 animals, and conception rate is about 40%, means 120 animals may be conceived. Then apart from this one, the 60% are usually male, and 60 are about this 120, 60 and 60 are male and females. So the dose of the sperms per vial per one star is 20 billion or 2 crores, whereas in case of sex sorting, only 2 million sperms per dose are available, and we can produce 600 doses of the X and 600 doses of the Y. But we only require the X chromosomes or female chromosomes and inseminate about 600 animals, but the consumption rate, even though it's very very less, 20%, also then we can produce 120 male and 120 female calves. So this is double to that of the regular insemination. That's what it says. But as the consumption rate is very very low, lot of manpower is required, lot of recurrent this visit and insemination technology also, lot of investment is there. This is for the analysis. Okay. The factors limiting the use of sexual semen is, so many companies are also there. The machines and the process of sex sorting is under patent, especially the especially sexing technologies and Lumisort, both USA and Canada, and the machine is leased on the basis of royalty per dose basis. So ranges from 8 to 12 US dollar per basis. That's why the technology is very costly. Of course, it has been reduced now. The factors limiting the use of sexual semen are: number one, though there will be always a DNA damage, no other method or the technology is available with comparable yield or success rate. And of course, continuous research is being put and efforts are being put in such a way that to produce more and more viable sperms. That's they always it is there in the science. And damage to the spermatozoa are higher due to the sorting process. Yes, we need to subject them to the laser, leading to reduced fertility. Then the sperm number per dose, that's the 2 million, is one tenth of the current usage, that's the 20 billion or 2 crore. 2 million is 20 lakhs. And thus, AI using sex semen requires skilled persons to put it in the, especially deep into the uterus of the animal. So, there will be always a DNA damage after sex sorting is detectable after 24 to 48 hours of incubation at 37 degree Celsius. So, these are all some of the disadvantages of this technology. And later, the sperms in this sex sorted semen is also they will lose their original capacity to make the ova to conceive. Hence, the short term, especially what we can do is there are so many things are there. We can establish state of art facilities for sex sorting spermatozoa, then procure or adopt elsewhere developed technology for indigenous production of sex semen. Then use of liquid sorted sex sorted semen at field conditions to familiarize with the process and to build confidence among the inseminators. Then training of inseminators to put the semen into the deep, especially corneal insemination, just like putting in the cornea at the end of the this uterus. So what we need to do for this thing is always it is medium term, then standardization of flow cytometry in our own country already it's being under, and indigenous and crossbred bull spermatozoa it is already done. Standardization of cryopreservation of sex sorted spermatozoa is already under it's very well established. Evaluation of fertility of sex sorted spermatozoa in organized and field conditions. More and more evaluation is required in this particular condition is concerned. What we need to do is long term, then we need to develop indigenous methods of differentiating X and Y bearing spermatozoa. Apart from the flow cytometry, also tools to improve sorting rate and accuracy, measure to reduce the damages to spermatozoa during the processing, especially designer bulls that produce only one type of the spermatozoa. That's another innovative method, so that we can say that the particular bull need to produce only X or only Y, and establishment of national sex semen grade. So these are all the proposed. What are all the practical applications of sex semen is number one to produce female progeny from superior germplasm, raising system and control herd replacement, targeted increase in the milk and meat both can be achieved by both male and female, especially buffalo meat, etc. Ensure male progeny as herd size from dam sire process. So ensure appropriate progeny when progeny testing young bulls and avoid intersex in multiple births, and breeding heifers to have heifer calves to decrease the incidence of calving difficulty. These are all the practical uses of this thing. And apart from this one, we need to establish the superior heifer supply center, maybe in the government institutes, universities, and field conditions, and control over the birth of unwanted males that also achieved, and they reduce the percentage of sperm with damaged DNA, then increased selection intensity, then providing young bulls faster progeny testing program. So these are all some of the, also later we also use this sperm for IVF technology, in vitro fertilization. But lot of limitations are there as usual. The conception rate is less, very high cost, then reduced fertility. These are all conception rates in field conditions. They will vary from 35 to 60% when compared to the neat semen. Then the percent of success rate or conception rate is also decreased in case of unsorted one. So, what are all the other goals what we can achieve by using sex sperms is the stray cattle issue. We have got a raising population of stray cattle require lot of attention, and these have got low economic value. Stringent cattle slaughtering, especially lesser drought favor usage, scarcity of feed and fodder have pushed the abandoning of male animals. So because of all these things, they need more and forage. Hence, we need to produce the elite animal by sex semen. AI can optimize the population of the livestock with quality livestock. We have got the livestock, but the quality livestock is decreased a lot. Then heifer supply program is can also be achieved by this particular this thing. Success Seman AI on large scale heifer supply will lot of heifers are required for us rather than the old stock. So the boost milk production which will reduce the price of milk which is also available to the consumer point of it. Impact will be gradual due to the constraints in the adoption as India we are having a lot of slow motion. That's what we say, and hence we need to environmental impacts of the particular technology is also there. Then the artificial insemination, it has got the sex semen technology, will have the selective breeding, livestock population can be optimized. And to reduce the greenhouse gas emission with quality livestock, total number of livestock will be reduced and less number of the greenhouse gases will be emitted. And second possible impact will be increase in the fossil fuel consumption of greenhouse gas emission from agriculture. And then another part is also we need to take care of producing only one sex of the animal is having a lot of what you call as environmental effect and against nature, and we need to also address this particular issue. There should not be any imbalance. Then future areas where we can research are deeper understanding, especially deeper understanding the physiology of X and Y chromatozoa, then sperm cytogenesis. Can we use the chemical or immunologic reaction to produce the X and Y? Sperm environment, other hormone chemical conditioning results in X and Y, and undertake the genomic, transcriptional, proteomic regulations of X and Y spermatozoa. Then simplification of this flow cytometric machine to reduce the cost is also another thing. And research on sperm sorting procedure to increase the speed, accuracy, and separation of volume of sex sperm. Yeah. And can you produce a bull which only produce the required sexed sperm? These are all some of the things. And the conclusion is the sexed semen producers, especially sexed semen producers, especially the following the advantages: reducing unwanted surplus male cows, then accelerating genetic gain, then there will be herd expansion, then milk supply will also be increased, less replacement cost may be due to the heifers, maintain biosecurity in the dairy herd. And apart from this one, the key role, especially which need to be maintained, is improvement in the consumption rate. We need to point out this, especially in case of sex sorted semen, the consumption rate is some more less, and we need to increase the consumption rate by improving the technology. And the particular thing can also resolve the societal and animal welfare concern due to increasing population of unproductive animals. And the utility of sex semen must be harnessed to enhance production of efficiency, ensuring animal product demand, which is socially, economically, and environmentally acceptable and susceptible manner especially. So in India, this technology has been adopted sporadically, mainly in Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, and Maharashtra, Karnataka. But its wider application and reducing the sperm cost to the highest extent is also required. And subsidizing the sex semen is already started, and many of the governments, especially government of India and Rashtriya Google Machine, etc., they are adopting this technology to improve the breed, etc. Whereas the limited field studies have been reported 40% consumption rate and 85 to 95% of the accuracy, and this need to be increased a lot. But in the current scenario, using sex semen in heifers and also early lactating cows is more profitable, and more consumption is maintained, especially in such a situation. And initiative by many of these government organizations, especially the Government of India, ICR, and NDDB, in different the projects and also different initiatives have been initiative So the government of India, the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, it has already initiated the sex sorted semen, which has accelerated the breed improvement program in particular. This thing, especially, it has improved as a policy matter. So, identified about 30.2 crore animals with unique identification number by INAF, etc. And both of these are tried to be covered under IVF and sex sorted semen technology as per the cabinet decision. And later, the government of India under Rashtriya Gokul Mission, Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry, it made a policy accelerated breeding improvement program using sex sorted semen for getting assured pregnancy was adopted, and all these guidelines for insemination, how the semen need to be supplied, and incentive to technicians, incentive to farmers, then the subsidies, every bit, thing has been worked out. And during the last 3 years, it has done a market achievement. And of course, we can, if you go to this NDDB website, that eGopala website, nddb.com, then you can see that where these sex sorted sperm stations are available in this particular website. One can contact the different labs. That's a government of India or government, different governments, state government undertaking. Apart from this one, many labs are also there. There the private labs which sell the sex sorted semen, maybe genuslabsindia.com, and of course the frozen semen station Jogudwan, and many more are there. If you Google it, you can get many of these stations, and the genus ABS. So they say that they are the pioneering in animal genetic improvement to nourish the world. That's what they say. So it is a multinational company and having the India, and many persons are also there to supply the sex sorted semen. One need to contact them, and as per the price, etc., one can decide what can be done and how it can be adapted in future. So there are many approaches to get the sexual semen from different agencies apart from the government of India and government of Karnataka, etc., and adopt this technology in increasing the cattle population is concerned. And the farmers, it should be farmer friendly and also the research, the rural oriented. Then it will be a successful technology. And at last, I thank you because we need to improve the fertility rate, especially conception rate in the sex sorted semen, and we need to develop some of the technologies which are easily viable and farmer friendly, so that more and more conception occurs, and the livestock productivity may also be increased in this regard. And thank you very much for being with me for such a long time and patient hearing. Thanks a lot. Namaste.